sort of give you a little bit of a reference, a frame of reference to work with, I think this was in Q3 of last year that we saw ramp up happening in hospitality after the lockdowns were removed, especially in Mumbai, where F&B lockdowns were removed sometime in early October. So we saw October sort of pick up with November and December ramping up. We saw the trend moving into January and February, and the occupancy as well as F&B trends looked very, very encouraging. And if that pace had continued, we would have been well on our way home right now. Unfortunately, the second wave hit us sometime in March, and everything was shut down all over again. To begin with, Mumbai and Pune were shut down, and then subsequently we saw Bangalore and Hyderabad, where our other hotels are located, also shut down. From our perspective, if you again look at the occupancy percentage, Q3 was roughly around 33%. Q4 closed with roughly around 39%, and it would have been much better had March held on. And I think a month-on-month reference point of that will give you an understanding of that. So in January, our occupancy was 37%. And in February, it had already ramped up to 42. So that was a pace of ramp up that we were having in our occupancies. ADRs were also slowly growing. And that combined with growth in F&B, we were very confident it will go well. But then March collapsed to a shade below 37% again. And March was 37%. April went down slightly below 37%. So that's the trend. 37, 42, 37, 36 and a half. So clearly the second wave has hit us hard. We take solace from 2 points. One, the ramp up post the first wave was pretty rapid, both on room business as well as in F&B. And we do hope that after the second wave, we'll see similar growth. But what's different this time is that the significant percentage of the target audience for hospitality is getting vaccinated now. At least one jab is in to most of the people who would typically travel to our hotels, if they're allowed to take that jab, because some of them can't take it on account of recent COVID infections. The other thing, of course, on the jab side is what have we done with our employees? Chalet has now completed 100% jab 1 for all employees at work. Some of them are not in town, so they're at home, so they're not coming into work. They haven't got vaccinated, but everyone at work at all our hotels has got at least one jab now. And anyone who hasn't got the one jab will not be allowed in without a proper RT-PCR test and a mandatory jab requirement for them. So that's where we are. In terms of the outlook, I think the signs from China and in recent weeks from US and UK are very positive. We've seen Greece open up pretty aggressively. We see Dubai growing pretty rapidly. Recent reports show that Australia and Japan are seeing traction on business. I think all pointing towards a fairly robust recovery in the coming months.
Okay, so in specific for the company with this vaccination drive that sounds so promising, will we see the company, starting to report profits by the next quarter? And what's the outlook on your margin picture as well, which is now in single digits?
Sure. So, we were able to post EBITDA positive results for 4 consecutive quarters during the last year. And this was supported by the annuity income that we have through our rental assets. We've diversified our portfolio in a mix of hospitality and non-hospitality assets. And I think it worked very well during this pandemic. At least it gave us the opportunity to cover all our operating costs and a little bit more than that. That'll continue to help us in the coming years. In fact, that part of the portfolio will grow in the next 12 to 24 months as we build 2 new projects out. And they're fairly large. One is a 750,000 square foot of leasable space in Powai in Mumbai. The other, roughly around 500,000 square foot of leasable space in Bangalore at the Whitefield location. So that'll continue to add value. More importantly, I think hospitality picking up very rapidly. So at one point of time, hospitality business was down to only 45 to 50% of our revenue. But in Q4, it was back to the high 60s. And when it stabilizes, we should be at between 70 and 75% of the total revenue coming from hospitality. If you look at our numbers, For Q4, we did a revenue of about 102 crores, EBITDA of 5 crores, which is low, but then we had two non-regular costs that we had accounted for in that quarter. One was we wrote back the SEIS income that we recorded because the government hasn't come out with the final way forward on SEIS. We are due that. It'll come at some point of time. And second, we sort of repurposed the ORB asset into an office asset, and we had to take a little bit of hit on loss of profit on account of shutting down that asset. So if you take that out, our EBITDA growth was also 11%, which is not bad given the environment. I think more encouragingly, our hospitality segment saw a growth of 16% revenue. And the RevPAR grew at 22% in this last quarter. Again, showing good traction on growth. This is in spite of March being very, very weak. I think once the phase 2 is over, the stage 2 is over of the COVID wave, we do expect ramp up to be rapid. That combined with the non-hospitality assets should give us a fair amount of stability. I can't share numbers, forward-looking numbers, but I can tell you that the combination of revenue growth on hospitality, rental assets, and the cost-cutting measures that we've taken is going to hold us very well in the coming quarters.
So in particular for Chalet Hotels, what have been the kind of cost-cutting measures that you've taken, and how long do you think that they're likely to continue?
So it's like this, if you really break them down into two buckets, fixed costs and variable costs, we brought our fixed costs down by 50%, and we brought our variable costs down by 70%, which are largely in line with revenue drop numbers. So on the fixed costs, a large part of the fixed cost reduction will continue in the coming years. So we do see a benefit of that rolling over for the years to come. Let's put it like this. If we were to hit on the same store basis, revenues of March 2020, our profit margins will be much better than they were in 2020. And we had very healthy profit margins in hospitality, actually. We delivered an EBITDA of 40%. And total combined, we delivered 36 or 35%, I can't recall what, but clearly, I think we'll outperform those numbers in the coming years.
Okay, that sounds optimistic. Now, what is the outlook when it comes to the vaccine passport, according to you? Do you think it's going to be a little bit unfair to developing countries that are slower to vaccinate and lesser digital penetration?
Look, I think we got to look at it from a holistic perspective. If we don't participate, we don't get inbound tourists. And for our country, inbound tourism is very critical, not only from survival of the larger travel and tourism industry, but also from a foreign exchange earning perspective. So my view is that we should definitely participate in the vaccine passports. The government will decide which way to go. In our case, we are the ones that want them to come in, and we should therefore open up our borders for people with vaccine passports.
Yes, indeed. And what kind of a spike now in the month of June, as we've seen things ease up, things improving, have you seen in terms of inquiries? What are people willing to travel domestically? Any city-wise sort of trends that you're observing?
So we're seeing the phone ringing continuously now. So the pace of queries and pace of bookings has clearly increased significantly. What's not happened as yet is that revenues haven't hit as yet, because look, if you really break it down into different cities, Delhi's just opened, I think, this week. So there is no reference to that. Mumbai has opened food and beverage only till 4 p.m. It doesn't make sense. It's not going to help us till it opens up till later in the night. Hyderabad and Bangalore still have a huge amount of restrictions. Bangalore's extended its lockdown. Hyderabad has extended it with some relief on F&B timings. So right now, it is a limited impact, but as things open up, I'm pretty confident of a quick ramp up.
Okay, and the fact that you're saying that the phone as well has been ringing off the hook, that is an encouraging trend. What about steps from the government, Mr. Sethi? Are you looking at anything in particular? We were having a discussion earlier this morning as well, talking about perhaps vaccinating the staff within the hospitality sector in full throttle, maybe some aid from the government on that front. What is it that you would want to see?
Look, I think it's unfair to expect aid coming from the government on vaccinating the employees. Most of us have gone and got our employees vaccinated on our own account. It will be helpful if it comes for the smaller operators. But I think we need to look at the bigger requirements of the industry. The ECLGS scheme is a strong positive. I think everyone should take advantage of that. The other thing that we're looking forward to is industry benefits to the industry in various states. Unfortunately, that's a state-level subject. So we need to work with multiple government agencies to get this through. We've had success in Maharashtra, Karnataka. Recently, Gujarat has announced relief, very welcome. And some other states have given smaller forms of relief. But there is immense amount of cost reduction possible for hospitality industry if the states give us the industry benefits across the country.